Welcome to Top Advisor Marketing, where you will learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your practice. Brought to you by Top Advisor Podcasting, a done-for-you podcasting solution built just for trusted advisors. And now, your co-hosts of Top Advisor Marketing, Kirk Lowe and Matt Halloran.
Hello and welcome to another Top Advisor Marketing podcast. We don't have a lot of repeat guests, but when we do have repeat guests, it's for good reason. And our guest today is somebody who I love to follow on social media. I'm actually subscribed to all of her newsletters and mailing lists because I love keeping my finger on the pulse of what Adri Miller-Heckman is doing, because she is in an area that I believe is wildly underserved, and she is truly the expert when it comes to truly marketing to women, to help women, financial services professionals grow their business. She's got all sorts of courses. She's an amazing speaker. And what we're going to talk about today is something that is going to, I think, kind of blow your mind, which is how you can truly market to the ultra high net worth and high net worth, but still serve women and minorities with low assets and still make money. So you're going to want to stay tuned to this entire episode. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. And one of the neat things that's happened since Adri was on the podcast is what she rebranded. And that's another thing we're going to talk about. But before, I want all of you to have a chance to get to know this wonderful person who I care about a whole bunch and love what she does. So Adri, first off, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. Glad to be back.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about how you have gotten to where you are right now with your experience. And let's just start massaging our way into, what you do for our audience.
Well, I think the important thing is financial services was my career from day one out of college, except for a short stint where I joined the Navy and then came back and got back into the business. So I've been everything from a registered sales assistant to the branch administrator to a financial advisor at Smith Barney, and then eventually became a national training officer for Smith Barney, and then the director of national sales for Women & Company, which was a division of Citigroup. But every step along the way, my focus was on engaging women more effectively and creating an environment where women were more encouraged and felt more optimistic about getting more engaged and involved in the financial affairs. And that really goes back to a story about my mom. It's what I was passionate about, and I spoke it from day one. Now, I think what's interesting is that when I look back, I shouldn't have succeeded as an advisor. I was a working mom. I had 3 young kids under the age of 11, and their dad had just left the state and moved away. They were emotionally distraught. And I was on salary as a trainee, but I was not making enough to support us. And I believe 100% that it was because I really created a focus for my business, what I call a tribal market. And it was a tribal market, wise women in Newport Beach, who I was very passionate about helping. That fact alone allowed me to not only succeed, but I was in the top quintile of all the trainees. And when you find a focus, and in my case, it's always been women, and you can articulate who they are and why you care, unbelievable things will happen. I mean, business just flocks to you. And so, long story short, in 2004, I left the corporate world to start coaching and spent many years coaching all advisors on how to build a more female-friendly practice. I wanted to help all advisors really create an environment that attracted more women clients. We all know the statistics. I don't need to repeat those. But in January, I rebranded, and the bulk of our business now is focused on inspiring and coaching female advisors so they can create extraordinary growth. And that's the focus of the business today.
Now, how did you arrive at FemX, right? And so remind everybody what you were called before and how you moved to FemX. And let's talk about the branding process. You are really an expert in marketing. How was it having somebody else kind of come in and help you with some of this?
Well, it's interesting. When I started out, I had been very well connected with Smith Barney. And having an unusual name, I decided that when I started coaching, I was going to keep my name as the title. So it was Adri Miller Consulting. But eventually, I wanted the brand to reflect the focus on females. And I was at a coaching conference myself. Now, understand, it's very difficult to rebrand yourself. But I was at this coaching conference and they kept talking about this book, 10X, 10 times referrals, 10X your business. And I thought, oh, I love that concept. Why don't we FemX the business, right? Create a more female centric business model and generate exponential growth. And so that's kind of where I came up with the FemXadvisor. And it's interesting because one of my competitors, who she and I don't consider ourselves competitors, yet we do the same thing in a little bit different fashion. But Robin Crane, a bunch of her programs are called the Fem program. So anyway, we knew when we wanted to rebrand and redo the website that we were too stuck within ourselves. We couldn't get out of our own messaging. And so we hired a gentleman from Big Story, Matt Carroll, and he was amazing at really helping listen to what we're saying and put new vocabulary. And, it's funny because everything he was doing for me is what I do for my financial advisor clients, right? It's about peeling the onion, really uncovering who you really are so that we can identify what is your message, who are you really speaking to, and what are you really saying without using financial jargon. So it was like most coaching experiences, it was a journey, and it was a very fun, liberating, exciting journey.
We, Kirk and I have been working with a branding company very recently because we're doing some stuff ourselves, and it's just so much fun having somebody
Oh,
else ask you questions and challenge you, and part of it, Adri, I know that you experience this too, is like I know what you're doing right now, but it's a lot of fun to go through this
it's
process with you.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like revealing, they pull the mask off and you go, oh, yes, that's what we do.
Yep. Yeah, when we had our brand brief, when they read it back to us, I just sat there and thought to myself, I could never have made it sound that good, right? It's just so
Oh,
nice to have
yeah.
that objective third person. Okay, so now you've rebranded yourself, so it's not necessarily as focused on you specifically, which will allow you to grow because there's only a finite number of clients that you can really handle. Let's talk about this new program. I mean, so I'm sure it doesn't surprise our listeners that I have a team who helps me prepare for the podcast. I do my own legwork myself, of course, just because I'm weird like that. But when I
Mhm.
got this email forwarded from my team about what Adri wanted to talk about, and in following the email chains that I get from her, I just thought to myself, and in fact, this is why you're here, is because it's so interesting and I think so valuable to our audience. Let's start at the baseline. Let's talk about where this came from, how this came
Okay.
about, and then let's build from there.
So I think and I'm going to promote coaches here. It doesn't matter who the coach is, but one of the things that's really great about a coach is that they can help you bob and weave and take advantage of COVID experiences and work it to your benefit. So, as we're in the stay in place, in my coaching, I told my clients, I want you to start Zoom calls. We've got 1,000-point moves on the Dow, and the old way of doing business is over. And yeah, you could call each client. So I said, I want you to market and set up a Zoom call every week where you just invite your clients on. And here's how you do Zoom. And because they trusted me, they did it. And they said, oh my God, my clients loved this. It was a huge experience, which has opened the door to so many more opportunities, right? You must be able to look at what's happening in the world around us and see, how can I best utilize these changes to add value and make a positive impact on my business and those of my clients. So then we get into the Black Lives Matter issue. There was a fabulous article in Barron's featuring Renee Norse, a former client of mine, and I worked with her to create her whole marketing engine that focused on women, and she's African American. And she talked about really the way to serve minorities is to dedicate some time to help get them more knowledgeable and understanding of how to invest for their future. Simply because they don't have the assets and resources, nobody's really teaching them. So this was a very interesting thought, because as I coach women advisors, most women advisors, the challenge they have is letting people know they manage millions. And what happens is, when they don't clarify that, all they attract are small accounts. And eventually what will happen is, down the road, after lots of hard work, too much work, to be honest with you, they're going to have to shed some of those accounts. And so here I was helping the advisors, helping these women advisors basically articulate, I would love to help everybody, but most of my clients come to me with well over $1 million in assets and have complex situations that really need somebody to help them unwind. That's what I love to do. That's what I'm good at. So here we are. I'm saying, well, yes, I want you to turn people away. But there is a way, and it's always been difficult for women to do that, because they will come across somebody who is deeply committed, who has a huge desire to learn about investing. They just don't have the assets. And so the challenge becomes, how do you attract more high net worth clients and serve those who really need the help? And that was the big conundrum. To me, it was a no-brainer. And let me give you an example why. When I was a financial advisor in Newport Beach, and I shared with everybody that most of my clients were wealthy women in Newport Beach who needed to get smart about money. And so in my practice, I hosted 2 events a month. That was my way of growing a business. It was the most efficient, it was the most energizing, and I absolutely loved doing it. And so what I would say in these events is, ladies, I know I can't help all of you. Most of the women I work with, I only accept a limited number of clients. Most of the women I work with have well over $1 million in assets and need more one-on-one guidance. These workshops are how I help all of you. And I would encourage each one of you to keep coming. And so those women often feel so thankful that you are providing them, you are allowing them, and you are encouraging them to come to these workshops, that they're going to try and introduce you to a woman who does have money. Let me give you a great example. Am I talking too much?
No, I'm seriously sitting here taking notes. I
Okay.
love your stories. You know that. So keep going.
Okay, so one of the events that I would do every month was a high-end event. At the time, it was for investors that had $100,000 or more. It was at the very beginning when money managers were popular. And what I would do is do a very high-end luncheon at the Ritz. In those days, the money manager could pay for it. And the invitation clearly said for those that have over 100,000. So after one of my presentations, a young woman comes up to me. She's an artist, a part of a group who would all become my clients. And she said, Adri, I love what you're doing and I want to invest, but I don't have what you require. I only have $10,000. And so I said, okay, let me tell you what I'm going to do for you. And so I want you to listen to this because it's a strategy, but it was also heartfelt. I said, I'm going to manage your $10,000, but this is what I need from you. One, I want you to commit to continue to add to this account every single month. I don't care how little it is. I want you growing those assets. This is what you can expect from me. I want you to keep coming to my events and I want you to keep learning. And I'm going to meet with you once, maybe twice a year, but I'm going to be watching your account. In the meantime, as you come to my events, I would encourage you to bring friends or bring family members who do have the kind of assets that I tend to manage. And by God, within the month, she brought her fiance who had 1.5 million. So there is a way to do in your business to manage and to appeal to minorities and low asset-based households without it consuming your time and energy. And the fact that you are doing that is also a marketing bonus because it appeals to people that do have millions. Because they see that, yeah, Adri manages millions, but she also donates a certain amount of her time to help those less affluent. So there are a couple ways to do that.
Well, I'm going to pause you there because I have a quick question. And this is a very logistical question, and I can just hear my advisors thinking about this. How do you do that in a compliance-friendly manner?
Well, first of all, I don't see any issues with compliance. Compliance is usually concerned with financial language and jargon. So here's how I would do it today. There are a couple ways I would do it. The way I did it in the past was using my events and creating a series of events and webinars that every woman was welcome to attend. Okay? That was one way. And so because I'm giving and I'm offering this value to everybody, I can then say, most of my clients have millions of assets. This is my way of helping all of you. Okay, that's one way. Another way is to carve out. Financial advisors love to do volunteer work. Well, you can do volunteer work right here, right now in your own backyard. And you could create a Money Monday, and it is a full day that you have carved out to allow those who are just starting out with investing an opportunity to book 20 minutes of your time. So instead of going, and I'm not knocking Habitat for Humanity, but you're going to go and spend a full day at Habitat for Humanity. Well, what if you create a program where you volunteer your own time to help those who are just starting out without enough assets? So you could do a full day, right? You could do a half a day. You could do one-on-one appointments. You could do a Zoom call. You could open up the Zoom visual and people could log in anytime they want for 3 hours on a certain day. You could do it where you host it and it talks about some basic investment concepts. Now, when I say investment concepts, be perfectly honest, people don't really care if it's a mutual fund or an ETF. We spend a lot of time focusing on that. When people understand why you do what you do, they don't care about that, the details of that. So you might host a series of events where you do a webinar followed by a Q&A. Okay? Easy. Now, understand the other third method is you can create a kind of an abbreviated, a modified financial planning process, right? There are a lot of advisors who do very extensive financial plans, but some of them can do a very simple, modified financial plan. And so what you can do is say, folks, I realize I can't help everybody. Most of my clients have well over $3 million of investable assets. But let me tell you what I've created for every investor. For those that are truly committed, we have a simplified financial plan that we would be happy to present to you. But here's what we expect from you, because you don't do it for free. They may not have money or fees, but you're going to ask them to complete certain steps. And then you're willing to do a modified or a simplified financial plan. Now, we just talked about 3 ways to really reach out and serve the community. Well, now, anytime you're doing any type of events, if you've got podcasts, if you're doing webinars, if you're doing physical seminars, one of the greatest marketing tools is an event calendar. It's how I built my business. Once a quarter, I listed all my events, 6 events or 7 events, however many I did in 3 months on this calendar. And here are all these great events. And then some of them would say for investors that have over $1 million, or you can then put my Money Mondays for those committed to engaging in their financial future and are not yet at a point where they can generate a financial plan, whatever. But now the people that are looking at you, they see that, yeah, you manage millions, and the high net worth clients need to know that. They need to understand that you are privy to the unique challenges that they face. Second, women need to say that. They need to say it and say it and say it, because in their mindset, female advisors, they think it sounds like boasting and they're afraid of offending. And so this is the way we allow them to market the fact that they manage multi-millions, 30 million, 100 million of investable assets for their clients. But we are still committed to serving those who have low assets or are just starting out. That's powerful.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you're going from really a place of people are going to resonate more when you speak from your heart instead of your head. Now, the head is
Yes.
important, right? But that's really powerful. And I love, so in the virtual world that we're living in right now, you have even more opportunities, as you were talking about, to do this, right? I mean, you can do a webinar for as many people who show up for a webinar. Your cost is really nothing, right? I mean,
Nothing.
so webinars, again, getting people to subscribe to your podcast, getting people to subscribe to your blog, your newsletter. I just interviewed a gentleman earlier today who's putting out an enormous amount of content on social, and one of the things that I asked him was the pipeline, and he said, "Well, I don't have to worry about the pipeline because by the time they get through the top of the top pipeline to the middle of the pipeline to the bottom of the pipeline, so when they get to the bottom, all of the sudden they already know exactly who I work with, just like you're saying, Adri. They know who I work with, and they're going to self-select. So I don't have to hard sell anybody or really turn anybody away because I've given them
Right.
so much great stuff through the other layers of the funnel."
Yes. And it's interesting, even in one of the tools that my advisors utilize is my Savvy Women Invest on Purpose seminar. And in that seminar is a section where it talks about, it has these workshops for female clients, and it's called the Life by Design process. And many of my clients that I'm coaching will take that process and those worksheets and make that a component of their basic education program. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but there are so many successful advisors who get to this point where they go, now I got to shed these clients, and it makes me feel so badly. But to grow your business, you need the bigger clients. I used to say, are you still there, Matt?
Heck yes, I'm here.
Okay. I just want to make sure I heard a little click sound. I used to say to my clients, I wish I could work with everyone. I have 3 children. I'm a working mom, and I know what I'm capable of, and I know how much I give to my clients. So I truly have to limit how many clients I bring in. Now think about this. The woman who was at the Money Manager event that I said, I'm going to accept you as a client. I didn't have to do that. One, I knew she was from this network of artists that had all given me a fair amount of money. So it was a smart thing to do. But 2, I really did appreciate her courage to come up, to commit, and that she wanted to be involved. She felt, when you do accept somebody that is under your, what I don't like to call minimum, but under your ideal level, they feel so indebted to you that they become a loyal client, raving fan. But if you do not articulate that most of your clients come to you with $1 million or more, or $500,000 or more, they're going to send you all of their friends who have no assets. I mean, you've got to be, and especially today, after this COVID, we talk about transparency, right? We've talked about that in this business forever, but it was always about transparency of fees. Well, let's be transparent as to who you are, what you do, why you do it, and how you do it. And there is nothing wrong with telling people, I realize I can't help everybody. Most of my clients have $1 million of investable assets with very complex issues. That's what I love, and that's what I'm really good at. But here's what I've done. I have carved out 1 day a month where anyone can book a 20-minute appointment with me. That's how I help everybody, and it's free. So to me, that is a very powerful win-win. And you can even share that with your high net worth clients, because they may want to send their kids to you. They know people that work in their company that need that. I mean, you've just opened the door to so many new opportunities, but more importantly, and especially for female advisors, I am a very strong believer in the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very faith in God is very important to me, and I see them as one of the same. The minute you start to articulate your real value, meaning in terms of who you help, where they're at in life, and how many assets they have, you are now opening to the universe and saying, I'm inviting them all in. And every time you put out there, I manage clients. Most of my clients come to me with millions of assets. It's like a magnet.
Yeah.
It's like a magnet. And when you do this, I almost want to say a bifocus or bilateral approach where you carve out certain time, certain space, certain worksheets for those without assets, right? You're serving your heart. You're serving your heart. You're doing what you believe is really important. If you were volunteering and educating young children at a grammar school on how to invest money, you wouldn't hesitate to tell people who are high net worth. In a conversation, you'd say, it's interesting. I volunteer to teach 8th graders on how to invest money. Well, why limit it to just that school? Why not say, part of the issues that we're struggling with in the world, in the inequities of the world, is that many people have never been given the financial education they need to start investing in themselves. And so I have created a very unique program that gives these clients, these potential investors, an opportunity to get real high-level coaching and guidance for free. But it does not infringe on my time and the value I bring to my high-level clients. That's a win-win. It's a win-win-win-win.
Yes. Well, let's talk about how our advisors can win. And before we do that, because I want to talk about your course and what people can do to engage you, but I want to just take a minute to summarize some of the key points here. I think, number one, you can hear the passion in Adri's voice, which is one of the reasons we love to have her as a friend of Top Advisor Marketing and also on these podcasts, because what she's talking about here really is flipping some of the marketing on its head, because most of you have been programmed to believe what is the highest and best use of my time from a profitability standpoint. But what we're forgetting is that we're also beings that have a soul, and those souls need to be fed too. And many of you have been chasing numbers for so long that you forget what it's like to do things that feed your soul. Adri here is not talking about doing something that's, 40 hours a week so that you stop doing your main job. What she's talking about is giving back to people who truly need help, right? Who need and want and will be better for generations to come with you as the financial services expert as advice. And I also want to summarize the idea of abundance. The world is not pie. Just because I have a slice doesn't mean you can't have a slice too. In fact, there's so much pie to go around that we should be giving more pie away. And I think that's the essence of what's going on here. It's so powerful when you get out of your head, get out of the programming that you've had from when you started selling insurance or when you were at the wirehouse or when you were in college and business school. This is the way that people are going to look. They want social proof that you're doing what is good, not just for your ideal client, but doing good for your community. And when you can show that selflessly, or as selflessly as humans can be, that changes the whole game. Now, Adri, you got a whole system for this. Let's talk about the system.
Well, really, the FemXadvisor is based on my book, Keys to the Ladies' Room. And so we have 12 steps to creating a female-centric practice. Now, understand that there are so many men that come to me because they love it too. And a female-centric practice is really based on building relationships, inspiring, and motivating versus prospecting, selling, and closing. To me, those are very linear, antiquated methods that are not nearly as effective today. So most of my coaching now, I do take on a few men that really love this. But again, just like I'm asking advisors, who are your ideal clients? What are their assets? And what is it you do for them? Because you want to do what lights your fire. And what lights my fire is helping female advisors really uncover their value and articulate their value in a way that energizes them. In the meantime, you're right, and I loved how you summarized all this. In the meantime, yeah, you need to be giving back. And a big part of our program is we do provide free programs. Right now, we're doing the 30 Leads in 30-Day Challenge. And it's on Facebook, and you can go to 30 Leads in 30 Days or FemXadvisor. It's free. So you really want to integrate both. But in the coaching program that I provide, everything, it's not a boilerplate program. It's not you adapting to my model. I've got some structure, but it really is uncovering your strengths as an advisor and then leveraging those strengths. And then I'm going to show you ideas and strategies that are going to work for you. Right? Carving out a full day once a month for some young female advisors that are working moms, that may not be a viable option. But it's really uncovering who you are, what drives you. I want you living in your unique brilliance every day, all day, because then you're energized. And part of that unique brilliance can be coaching people who do not have assets. But business-wise, we have to put boundaries around that so that it does not consume you. But I love how you summarize. We have souls and the idea of abundance. Giving back is huge right now. And so what we've shared with you is a way to give back to minorities and women who have low assets and are just starting out in the investment world. That is meaningful work, but you cannot let it detract from what you're really, really, really good at.
Mm-hmm. All right. So website?
FemXadvisor.com.
Okay.
Go to the website. We have a lot of tools, but if you're interested in the new model, in a new approach, I would highly recommend you book a strategy session with me.
Yep.
We'll talk about your business. We'll talk about your message. Worst case scenario, you leave that call and you'll know exactly what you need to do going forward to really accelerate and create exponential business growth.
And please, dear God, follow her on social media. So follow Adri on social media, especially on LinkedIn. Sign up for her mailing list. She's always giving great little nuggets, not so little sometimes, nuggets of information that will truly allow you to be a great advisor and to help 51% of the flipping population that for some reason a lot of advisors just don't focus on. So Adri, thank you once again for being on the show.
You're welcome, Matt, and you are definitely in your zone of brilliance doing what you do.
Well, you do make it pretty darn easy, so I do appreciate that. Well, if you guys have not subscribed to our podcast, make sure you click that subscribe now button below. That way, every time we come out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. If you have a guest idea, somebody who you think would be a great guest, like Adri, or if you have a topic that you think we should cover, whether you want Kirk and my opinion about it or have us bring on one of our friends, all you have to do is email me, matt@topadvisorm, that M is for marketing.com. So for FemXadvisor, Adri Miller-Heckman, and all of us here at Top Advisor Marketing, we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
Are you ready to change the way you communicate with your clients? Are you tired of being the best kept secret in your area? Learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your business. Contact us today and see what the power of podcasting can do for your business. Click on the Contact Us link on our website at topadvisormarketing.com and set up a call to learn more. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook for more updates and information.
This was brought to you by Iris.xyz, a platform helping financial professionals become better in business and life through new media and new voices. Visit them and learn more at iris.xyz.